Hey peeps, it's Tripl-L, and I'm here to talk to you about Fairy Tail Chapter 497, The Winter Mage. Let's just get right down into it, just impressions. And what can I say? I actually really like this chapter. A lot of the chapter was coming true with what I was saying last week about certain enemies being put in check, and we did get that in this chapter when we had Rogue, Minerva, and Elfman, and one more person. Oh yeah, Mira Jane. Just keeping the defeated Spriggan 12 in check. And those kind of panels are exactly what I was expecting to get. I don't think we're going to get any full fights with those characters. So it was good to see my thought on that whole matter being confirmed in a way, but it could still change depending on how the author feels. But overall, this chapter was just Fairy Tail making their way through. Although the first half of where Mavis was being interrogated and tortured. So I think I'll talk about that part first, since it came first. Now the whole segment with Mavis, Zeref, and Eileen, I thought it was kind of heart-wrenching. I thought it was still adorable how Zeref cared about Mavis. I am worried about every time he does care, if it's going to have a bad reaction and he's going to end up killing people inadvertently. But he does very much still care for Mavis. And seeing her suffer there while Eileen's doing things to her, it's a pretty nasty situation. And Eileen's talking about this thing of being heartless, or getting rid of naivety, because he needs it to be able to be Acnologia. And I'm just wondering, like, who's Eileen to be able to tell Zeref that? Zeref's been alive for like centuries. She's nothing compared to him. What gives her the right to talk to him about naivety? And it's just that part of her character is just annoying. And it actually goes really well with her characterization in regards to Erza. Later on in this chapter, Nineheart comes in, and now his nature is also being pulled into question when Eileen pulls superiority on him. There's very possible that Nineheart is actually a weapon given a personality. I wouldn't be surprised at this point. But the interactions that Nineheart has with Eileen just further goes to confirm that Eileen does have some kind of disgusting grudge against Erza, and it haunts her. It haunts her to this very day. And now that I know she wants to kill Erza, I am so sure that everything I've been thinking about Eileen, that she just is guilty as a mother. She was scared of Erza. She had to kill Erza. She had to get rid of Erza because she was just scared of the monster that she was. And her desire to kind of have that behavior come out in other people just to justify that, yeah, it was totally natural for a mother to be scared of her child or to be disgusted by her child. I think just seeing more of that character is very interesting. I hope it doesn't fall flat. Eileen has so far established herself as this type of character, and I want to see how far we go. Like, at this point, she didn't even confront Erza, even though there was the possibility she was alive when she surveilled them. She won't confront Erza now. Even if she wasn't working on the enchantment thing with Mavis, she probably wouldn't even bother going look for Erza, because maybe that fear is still so deep rooted in her, or that disgust is still so deep rooted in her, and then it's coupled with just guilt as a mother. Oh man, it's gonna be cool to actually see that meeting, and I just hope it doesn't fall flat. Now anyway, Mavis is in a really nasty situation, and she really needs someone to defeat the Winter General, as we find out in the end. So, going back to the Fairy Tail side of things, when they were all just kind of plowing through, Erza's doing cool things. It was a pretty nice transition from the Nineheart setup to Erza. Pretty cool. Just everyone checking out Erza's moves, establishing her as a strong character. Gildart's destroying everything, again establishing that he's a careless character. And it was funny having Kana like kind of just yelling at her dad. That's a nice little character development for her. I like that they're at that point where she could call him dad. Anyway, when Invel shows up, I thought was pretty cool. I like overall that Invel is able to freeze Natsu's flame, and I like overall that Gray is the only one that can actually survive Invel. And Invel's kind of pulling superiority on Gray here. He does talk instead of ice. His power is winter itself, and that's pretty cool. I have to wonder though, does Invel have a god within him the same way Demaria did? If he does, cool, we'll get to see another god, and we'll get to see a Fairy Tail member squash it. I'd very much welcome that. But Invel's powers do seem to be pretty effective, and they are getting to Gray. I do want to see how Gray is going to overcome this, because he's going to have to figure something out. He's only got Demon Slaying as his expanded magic, so I'm really wondering, how is he going to try and beat this? Hopefully there'll be something having to do with coming back into play. Maybe he's familiar with this type of magic or this degree of ice magic. I mean, the fact that he was immune to it, I don't think is just because he's an ice wizard. So I want to see exactly how he can pull this off. I do think that Natsu has the capacity to probably melt out of the ice given enough time, but Gray's the only one that could probably ignore it for an extended period of time. So the setup with Invel is pretty cool. I do want to see what's going to happen. I do think that Invel is going to be defeated, but since chapter 500 is like 3 chapters away, I do think Mavis is going to have Fairy Heart extracted from her. I do think that's going to happen. Invel is going to fall, but Mavis is still going to be in a pretty bad issue. So maybe chapter 500 might be the game changer of Mavis, the penultimate moment of whether or not Fairy Heart comes out of her. So I'm pretty excited for that. Anyway, peeps, I think that's all the things I wanted to talk about. Let me know what you thought about this chapter, and until next time, have a good day.